All right. Whoops. All right, so here we are. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Beyond the Veil. This is gonna be crazy. All right, good. My audio is working. I got a better setup tonight, even better than last night. So it's like it's getting better every day. I'm pretty excited about actually. I am very excited about tonight. Let me get my chat box pulled up on my end. I want to tell you guys, last night before the live, I was like the most pumped up I think I've ever been for a live stream. And I was like, man, this is gonna be nuts. It's gonna blow their minds. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna like, whoa. I was like, it can't get no crazier. I was actually gonna do a different live tonight, like a shorter one. But man, oh man, there's gonna be probably another part to this and another part probably I'll say. Um, tonight's gonna be crazy. Okay. I just want to say, if you did not get a chance to watch last night's video, I'm going to encourage you guys to please, please, please do so. By that, I am referring to, if you look on my I only do lives on YouTube. Those other videos you guys see up there, they are very old. I did those just to get views because you have to have a certain amount of views before you're even eligible to like get suggested and all those other things that YouTube tricks you into. Okay. But always look for my lives. But this one is very important. Technically, you could go through the Godzilla Leviathan decodes to get to this, but that would take forever. But man, it's a lot in there. What I would do is start on the recent ones. I would start with Ragnarok, and I would go from Ragnarok onto gosh, I don't even remember. There's two other ones before that. Just watch them in order, starting with Ragnarok up until this one. You'll see the order. I have a playlist already put together for you guys up there to make it simple, so I don't have to do all this. But I'm encouraging you guys to do it because it was crazy. Last night was real crazy. Tonight's going to be even crazier. But before I go on, I want to welcome you guys. I see Miss M. I see Miss Kelly. I see Christy. Danny. Danny, I see that you're finally here for a live. Man, welcome. We got Do Rich, or yeah, I guess Do Rich. Val, I mean, a lot of you guys up here. It's so awesome to see you guys. If you could, while I have a few of you up here, go on and hit that like button so the few can turn to many and multiply. Go on and hit that like button and subscribe button and notification bell and all those buttons down. Just go crazy like a kid in an elevator. All right. But I want to say this. I brought up watching the other ones because we've covered so much stuff that you're not ever going to find on any other YouTube video on YouTube or Facebook video or probably even TikTok. I think the things we've been covering here in the last 3 videos can only be found here on Beyond the Veil. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, by no means. What I'm doing is man, you guys don't want to miss it. Don't want to miss it. But if something doesn't make sense to you tonight, if I mention something and I'm like, you guys know what I'm talking about, and you're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about, it's a good chance you probably didn't watch a video before where it made sense to a few people that's been following along. Like there's some people up here, like my friend Donnie, and all these. I mean, I see these people up here like clockwork, but I don't know a lot of you people. Okay, it's important to catch up. But without further ado, what I'm going to do, speaking on catching up, is catch you guys up a little bit. I'm going to do a brief little unpack here, okay? And we're going to start with the first thing that I brought up to you guys, which was my whole build up to the eclipse. I brought up the eclipse. I told you guys months before the eclipse that I believe that the eclipse is going to come, and I believe following the eclipse, some monsters from the deep would be released. And I said that like word for word many times before the eclipse even happened. Okay. The eclipse got closer, and literally 2 days before that, I did a live and I named it, literally released the Kraken or whatever, on Facebook, and I posted a video and I showed you guys 4 different videos that showed the exact same thing: an eclipse happening, Titans come from the deep. I showed you Hercules and all this stuff where it pictured an eclipse and this releasing of the Titans of old. Okay. From there, what happened was the eclipse happened, and the next day there was this huge anomaly in the southern Atlantic Ocean down by Antarctica, which is important because I had also told you guys about a sea creature that is found in every single culture across the whole entire face of the earth, and that is a giant serpent. Nordic people believe that it's so big they call it the Jormungandr. I did a Jormungandr decode called Ragnarok that I encourage you to watch, where it shows this big serpent that surrounds the whole face of the earth. And I think I might have a screenshot. Yeah, I still have something I can show you for that. Here's this. Okay, that's his head. This is Jormungandr, and what the legend is his snake. This is, you can literally see his snake is in his mouth, and it's been in his mouth a long time. But supposedly, when this eclipse happens in this mythology, it causes the abyss has to be opened. Okay, the angel of death and darkness we know as Apollyon. Darkness. He's the destroyer. Okay. We know that wrath in the Bible is talked about all throughout, as far as, just being either fire, or we even find out that Satan has his own form of wrath called Leviathan, okay, which is the guardian of the deep, the darkness that was over the face of the deep in the beginning in Genesis, along with the Atlantean kingdom that we've covered in depth. But when this giant serpentine takes his snake out of his mouth, his tail out of his mouth, it says he will lift it up and he will cause huge waves and earthquakes. And on its way down, it would begin to release the titans that were contained in the abyss below that it was guarding. In Egypt, this is Apep, guarding the underworld, the entrance to the underworld. Okay. And the way you enter is through the tail of the snake and into the head, the belly of the beast. Okay. So this anomaly has happened twice, and both of them were in the head and tail of the snake was the exit point of both the anomalies. Okay. We talked about, I still have it up here. Okay. I showed you guys this one, the Kraken, where you could see his tentacles and everything launching out of there, and all the waves and everything documented in Africa and all that coast, and how it made its way all the way up to the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. Where I told you guys in the last couple of decodes, I believe, is where Atlantis is in the center of the Atlantic Ocean in the bottom, but the entrance is through Iceland, which the old stories was Ireland, but Ireland, but they apparently had a mistranslation, just like many times with the Bible, you'll see, and the R is technically a C, and through this they go through the volcano into this underground highway system that we covered in depth with Google Maps here lately. I really don't want to pull up too much and keep having to rehash this too much. I encourage you guys to go back and watch it. But we did all that in depth about how that happened. Okay. But we've covered a whole lot, like mountains more. I'm talking about like 6 hours more. So I can't tell you everything, but I want to tell you where we're at tonight, okay? Where I left at last night. I blew you guys' mind yesterday with my connections of Johns and the journeys of Johns to the mysterious islands. That's where we're going to pick up, because oh my Lanta. Oh my Lantis. Let me tell you guys, I have found so much today. Watch this. Ready? I can't slow down. I gotta get going. This is gonna be nuts. Okay. I'm gonna start my screen share, and we are gonna go forward. Screen share's going. I'm over here. We got it going. Okay. I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. Let me check the audio on my end. Sweet. It's working. I can do this. All right. The first thing we're gonna look at, I'm not gonna start with John Cleves. Okay, and I'm not really going to start with Raphael Sims. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start with this. Okay, this whole thing was centered around Captain Nemo and the journey to the center of the earth. Okay, Captain Nemo, we found out, okay, was based off of, ultimately, minus all the in-betweens we covered last night, ultimately it was based off of this guy, Raphael Sims. Okay. This is important because this man is like our topic of so much because of what he does and what he did, which I can't go in depth like for hours on about this man again tonight, but I want to say he was an explorer, okay, who was known to love the bottoms of the ocean and staying in his submarine, okay? And he was also known for everything dealing with discovering new things all over the place, from Antarctica, from the Arctic Circle to Atlantis. I mean, the sea monsters, all this stuff. And he was wanted for everything. He was in wars his whole life. They always wanted him to do something. Okay. And this is where our John came in. Okay. Because of this Raphael Sims. You're like, what does he have to do with John if you're new tonight? Well, Raphael Sims is also, this is nuts. I think I have to say this first, okay? You guys ever seen recently on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff where it shows like celebrities that have been repeated through history? Or like you'll see a president and it looks just like them throughout history, or you'll see a pattern in somebody where it's like, whoa, Elon Musk developed Tesla and he's obsessed with electric and energy, and yet Nikola Tesla died before Elon Musk was born, and he too was a Tesla obsessed with the same stuff as him, who seemed to have secrets given him from all over the place. And like it can go back and back and back, you know, with seeing patterns of people. Okay. Um, that's the whole thing with being a truther, right? And a decoder is like seeing patterns all over the place. Well, I want to make sure you guys that there's no such thing as coincidences tonight. So I'm going to deep dive into this Raphael Sims and the John thing. Okay. We covered some last night, but don't worry. I'm going to go through them last night's also. I'm going to bring them up quickly so you can see where I'm going with this now. Okay. Ready? Here it goes. Raphael Sims, you ready for this? Is based off this man also. It's crazy. Before Raphael Sims was John Cleves Sims, and it's spelled different. This blows my mind. Do you know what this man John discovered? Before John Sims in the 1900s, John Sims in the 1800s and 1700s discovered this. The hollow earth is a concept proposing that the planet Earth is entirely hollow or contains a substantial interior space, notably suggested by Elman Haley in the late 17th century. So I want to make sure you understand this. You have John Sims, who discovers hollow earth, which points directly toward everything we've been talking about lately, by the way. And if you look at this picture, you can see the Antarctica ice wall, and he literally names it Ice Barrier. As they come and edit this stuff and change it to planet, I want you to look at the picture. The picture shows an ice wall. It says Ice Barrier. It has an entrance at the top and an exit at the bottom, okay? You see the Ice Barrier? That's the Antarctica ice wall, okay? And everything else is a lie with these globe stuff. I mean, you see this all over the place. Everybody gets it except for NASA, which means to deceive. Okay. But check this out. John Sims in the 1700s discovered the hollow earth theory. He was known as an explorer, an adventurer. Like, you should read all this stuff. Okay. Look at these pictures and stuff developed. But I mean, even a statue after this dude, and on top of the statue is the hollow earth. You see that? Pretty crazy. They call them Sims holes. It's pretty nuts, right? So he does this, and I'm going to exit these off as I'm going. I want you to make sure you note this stuff if you're one of those that takes notes. John Sims discovered the hollow earth and was a serious explorer and a Freemason, if you can't tell from this picture right here. I spy squares and compasses and etc. Okay? Now, as I go past him, I want to make sure you understand he did that in the 1700s, but from the 1800s was Sims, who Nemo was named after Captain Nemo, and also Nemo Point, where the bloop was discovered. I want to make sure that's clear too. It was based off Sims as well. Ultimately, John too. All right, so I'm going to exit this out because we've covered him. I'm doing catch up still right now. Nothing mind blowing has happened yet. Then we started looking at movies like Jumanji. Okay, it's crazy. In Jumanji, there was one man who was in the island, the mysterious island. He was already there hunting and exploring. It was this general here with the ethereal fire on top of his hat, blonde hair, blue eyes, and his name is, you got it, John. Jonathan Hyde is his name in real life. The actor that plays him is John Hyde. And he's a hunter. He hunts what? The beast of Jumanji. Okay? It's important to know that. You have John the hunter that discovers the mysterious island and gets stuck there. Okay? Now, let's move past him because we've covered him as well. Shouldn't be mind-blowing yet to those who've been following along. Then we got into Johnson. We got into Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which means Black Rock Johnson. Johnson has many times where he goes to a mysterious island and he enters into a volcano and he goes into the heart of the earth or either brings up things from the abyss. For example, we covered these last night. These include, but are not limited to, Moana, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Mysterious Island, where the grandpa on the island that's already there is this man. We're going to talk about him in a second, which is going to blow your minds. And also Rampage, where he brings up the Titans and the Abyss from the mysterious island as well. But we also covered his other movies, okay, which is Jumanji, Jumanji 1, which we're going to talk about all that stuff in depth. I'm about to go through. The first thing we're going to talk about, though, was Maui. Okay, Maui, he goes to the mysterious island. He goes to the top of the volcano of Lalotai, and he enters into the realm of monsters, where he goes to try and find his fish hook and has to take it from a big giant beast who's guarding it, called the Shiny One. Sing a song about "I'm shiny," which is what Tamatoa means. Shiny One. Anyway, so he talked about Johnson going to the mysterious island, going into the hollow earth. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. John again. Now I need somebody to please, if you could. Let me look at the comments real quick. Okay. I want to say this. If somebody could keep a count on these, okay? We've already covered 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're on number 4 right now, okay? This is Johnson again, but he still counts as a 4 because it's another movie. We have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the main character, also in Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle 1, the first one where he goes to a jungle in the mysterious island. Okay? Johnson goes. But then we also have Journey to the Mysterious Island 2, where he goes. We talked about that, which is very important. Watch this. Okay? And Rampage. I'm not going to bring that one up again because I don't have all those pulled up with we just went deep in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson last night. We're gonna talk about how much last night, but just get it. John went to another island. That's however many 4. Here we go. Then we got this guy. This is gonna blow your mind. Okay, no joke. Do you remember this guy right here? He was the boy's grandpa who was already at the mysterious island. He was the discoverer, who was an adventurer, who had ex-Navy. Okay, this is the man right here. Same man that you were seeing before. You're like, but his name's not John. You're right. This man's name is Kane, and it's nuts because watch this. Not only is Kane an explorer and adventurer who discovers new lands and new worlds, watch this. I started doing some deep diving on Kane, the explorer that you're seeing right here. Are you ready for this? So I was like, yeah, he is the John that found the island here, but watch this. Do you know, my favorite movie for a long time was Interstellar. I'm going to see if you guys can guess this first. Let's see who's paying attention, okay? Why would I be bringing up this guy right here in a movie about like Interstellar and him discovering new worlds? What was his name in Interstellar as the explorer who discovered the new worlds and the black holes? It was him. What was his name, guys and girls? This is going to blow your minds. Well, you probably are going to just guess it, but ready? Ready? Someone, please, someone pay attention. Let's see. I'll just show you. I'm not patient. You guys know it. So just remember, John Kane was on the island, in Mysterious Island, but guess what? You guys, my favorite movie was Interstellar. Okay. Do you know that John Brand discovered the new planets and the black holes and the portals in the upper waters to go to all the other worlds? You have John Brand. That's 2 times this man has went and discovered new worlds as a John. It's pretty nuts, right? And he even looks like it, right? John Brand. Don't forget to include the John in that. You ready for this? It gets deeper. So I looked even further. You guys know about Pocahontas, right? And you also know about the whole story, right? The explorer, John Smith. Well, there's something about John Smith that I don't know if a lot of you guys know I've been obsessed with the whole thing with the Nordics and what it means for things with their hair color and their eye color and stuff. But this is John Smith, the explorer of new lands that discovered the new people that were unlike anything you ever seen, and the trees that had faces in them, and all the other crazy things. You have John Smith, the explorer, who explored and discovered part of the New World. But he's not the only John Smith, the explorer, who discovered the New World and the new people and the new things. Don't you also remember John? You can look this, if you were to look up Explorer John, this is the first thing that will pop up. This is the explorer of all time. Do you know when he was established? 1450, at the end of the Dark Ages. Think about that. That's when he was born, at the end of the Dark Ages. The same year the printing press was developed. 40 some years before the New World was discovered. 50 some years before the letter J was created. 150, I don't know exactly, years before William Shakespeare and Freemason King James decided to do their twists and things. Okay. Anyway, this is him, John Cabot, the discoverer of so much. Do you know what this man does? Well, he was the navigator. Everybody talks about Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus ain't nothing without a compass used by somebody that knew exactly what he was doing. John Cabot, the one who technically discovered the New World. Do you want to be specific? You know how Neil Armstrong was the first man to set foot on the moon? Well, John Cabot was the first man to set foot in the New World, established New World. Don't believe me? You can do a whole deep dive on this man, John Cabot, who discovered the New World and new people. And then John Smith followed, and I think it was 1560 something or 1580 something. Something like that. I've already pulled up. But anyway, John Cabot, the explorer who discovered the New World and new people. And you also look at the picture, you see the Freemasonic symbolism. Okay. So there he is. Let's move on a little further because this is going to blow you guys' mind because it's not even it. Next, we have John Henry Lefroy. Look at this man. He literally looks exactly like Jumanji Man. Let me show you one more time here. He also looks like, he looks exactly like, every single explorer has the same look on all these movies. I'll show you in a little bit because I got to pull up my Atlantis stuff. But there he is. Okay. John Henry is this. Do you remember I told you that John Sims was also a military officer who was doing what? He discovered all kinds of new things, right? New World stuff on the waters, right? Well, here goes another colonel named John, and this covers a portion that was right before another John we've already talked about. This is John Henry Lefroy. And do you know what he discovered? Another Atlantean thing, Earth's magnetism, the magnetic field, the magnetic poles, just like Nikola Tesla, with the whole ether and stuff. Well, here you have another brilliant John the explorer who discovers something Atlantean. And you can go into all his expeditions on the water and his discoveries of new things. Pretty nuts. Look, a pioneer in the study of terrestrial magnetism. Okay, think about it. All right, let's go on a little further. Don't forget about John Ray, the explorer. This man was the most important as well, right next to John Franklin, because they explored together. Watch this. This is going to blow your mind. Let's read about John Ray. Do you know what John Ray was known for? Well, he was the one that treated the new indigenous people, meaning the different things, the different creatures, the different things, okay? Meaning he had to have different knowledge as well. But he also was good at teaching all kinds of just things. Look at this explorer and what he's found. I mean, Scottish, once again, you got the Nordic stuff happening as well. He's a Scottish explorer. But I need you to understand, too, he has nothing, like I say, same exact everything, okay? Even the hand, do you see the hidden hand? You see the hidden hand, right? I don't have to say it. The hidden hand is also, you got to understand, ties right into the real. I am not myself. Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel, the heir. Okay, anyway, check this out. John Ray. Let's talk about John Ray, okay? John Ray, same thing, exploring the Gulfs and the Arctic coast. Okay, pretty nuts. Exact same thing. He got information from unknown people again. Crazy. All these Johns discovering these new things in different time periods, correct? With hidden hands. Now let's look a little further because John Ray ain't even the main character. John Franklin is the main character. John Franklin is an Arctic explorer in the Royal Navy. Oh my goodness, this is nuts. And you know what he did in his final expedition? Well, look at where he's at, guys. John Franklin. So let's go a little further than John Franklin. Now we have John. Oh my goodness, I forgot about this dude. You have Sir John Richardson. Do you know what this man is? Scottish once again. He's in the Navy and he's an Arctic explorer. Different time period, 1787. They just keep passing it on down with their white hair. And there's a reason why George Washington and all those white wigs were obsessed with the white locks of the Atlanteans. Do you see where this is going? All right, I'm going to go. John Franklin's crazy, though. Did I already cover John Franklin? Well, no, if I didn't cover John Franklin, he's behind the whole got stranded and turned to cannibalism. But like I said, this is somebody who traveled with them. Apparently, you got John Franklin and you have John Richardson, a naturalist. Both of them are naval explorers of the Arctic during this time when we can't even trust history. Both of them doing the same stuff. Now let's look a little further because this ain't even that. He ain't even the main character. Because this all goes back to Atlantis, the movie. Don't you remember who the lead guy was? Well, it was Colonel of the Navy, John Mahoney. Don't you remember? I told you, John Mahoney. John Mahoney. He even does the voice, and he's a real character, too. Don't you remember this stuff? We talked about it last night. So John Mahoney. And John Mahoney in Atlantis. And then we've got this. We've got John Hammond, the one who discovered the mysterious island of Jurassic Park with all the crazy titans and the volcano. If you didn't watch, I think it's Rising of the Kingdom or whatever it's called. Same thing, John Hammond, the naval explorer. This is amazing. Let's go a little further. Because John Hammond ain't even the main character. John Shepard might be the main character from Stargate. You know, a Stargate's a portal where you go through a portal, but he didn't just go through a portal. John Shepard leading a flock, went to the Atlantis expedition, guys. John Shepard in the Stargate portals called Rising Atlantis, his first appearance. Remember, John opens the portal to the abyss. This is what I'm getting at. Remember John in the Bible? John was the only one you read about that went to the mysterious island of Patmos and saw the abyss open and saw titans and things coming out of the abyss. John from the Bible went to Patmos Island and saw the mysterious creatures, like all kinds of scary creatures coming out of the abyss. What in the world in the Matrix craziness is happening? Let's look at John Shepard. Let's move past John Shepard. Here's another one of John Shepard, the Stargate Explorer, if you guys want a deep dive on it. Now remember, he's a colonel in the Air Force. Let's go on a little further because we got to remember John Mahoney. You got to remember John Mahoney. Don't you remember what he's famous for? Look at these movies, guys. Okay. Steppenwolf. Do you know what Steppenwolf's about? Well, it's apocalyptic. Let's just put it there, okay? Do you guys know about, I don't know, Atlantis and the Iron Giant, where John Mahoney is in charge of this whole thing with the rising of that beast? And ants. Guess what happens in ants? Well, the big cicadas come at the end, and John Mahoney's the bad ant in that as well. Oh my goodness. But the Atlantis Lost Empire is what's important with John Mahoney and the Atlantis here, right? Well, just remember him because he's most famous for the Atlantean kingdom, John Mahoney. But let's go a little further because I'm telling you that John's not even it. You know who's really it? Let's look at Journey to the Center of the Earth 1993 film. Do you see him anywhere? Well, yeah. Let's look who produced it. John Ashley was the producer. Do you know it? Do you know what he's for too? The same stuff, okay? The producer of the Journey to the Center of the Earth movie was John Ashley. I can't hold it together tonight. But don't you know also that he's known for this? Meanwhile, an unknown, here's this Atlantean artifact tied in with who? John Ashley. Let's move a little further. Let's read a book together, guys. Let's read Atlantis, Ancient Legacy, Hidden Prophecy, written by John Greer. Now, I don't want to read that book. I want to do something else. Let's talk about something crazy. Crazy. You guys ever seen Sweet Tooth? Don't you remember when the people started turning into animals? They took a shot, a smack scene. This is for entertainment purposes. What is all this stuff I'm supposed to say? This is for entertainment purposes, and I don't own any of the rights to anything that's played in this video. In Sweet Tooth, have you seen that? Donnie, Jesus King? Hold on to your shorts, bro. This is going to blow your mind because I know you follow Enter the Stars, and I know that he covered Sweet Tooth a while back, I believe. But he didn't talk about any of this. Sweet Tooth! Don't you remember what happened in this show? Well, I'll catch you guys up on it because this is mind-blowing because I'm going to take you down a whole nother rabbit hole, okay? Okay. Here it goes. Sweet Tooth is set in a world in which a virus has killed a majority of the world's human population, coinciding with the emergence of hybrids, the rising of Nephilims, babies that were born with animal characteristics after taking a snot, okay? Convey plays Gus. Gus is, I'll show you who Gus is. Well, it might show a picture. He's the boy with horns, okay? He's that sweet looking little baby in the background on my pictures. Hey, this is where these pictures came from, was this movie, Sweet Tooth, okay? Do you know what's funny about Sweet is sugar feeds parasites too. I want to remind you of that, okay? And I also want to remind you, I know you hear me talking about Sweet Tooth, right? Well, I don't want you to get confused this Sweet Tooth with another Nephilim Sweet Tooth. Some people know what I'm talking about if they're decoders. I want to make sure you know who I'm talking about. So I'm going to show you. Don't you remember? I think I've told many people on Facebook a while back, I believe giants were clowns. Okay, that's where that comes from. The painted faces, the war paints. Well, look at this Nephilim clown. Do you know what his name is? His name's Sweet Tooth, and I bet you can find some things around John with him too. But that's Sweet Tooth too, the Nephilim clown from Twisted Metal, the mixing of things, mixing of iron and clay. Okay, but watch this. This Sweet Tooth movie is important because I want you to understand, keep in mind the agenda, and he's part deer, he's part boy. There's a kid that's friends with him. Oh, I want to show you guys. I told you guys how I felt about pigs. I told you guys how I felt about sirens. I told you guys how I felt about apes yesterday. I told you how I felt about elephants. Elephants and apes is mentioned specifically in Jasher of people being turned into elephants and apes. I want to show you this guy's best friends in this movie. If I can find it. Let me see. Um, yeah, let's just try that one out. I think that's it. Boom. Okay, open. This guy's friends is an ape and an elephant. You ready? An ape and an elephant, and he's a deer. Don't you know, like the Elk Lodge of Freemasonry and Shrinery? So you got an elk, and don't you remember also I told you when Cain was found as Metatron Enoch wandering as a beast in the field, just like Nebuchadnezzar and Nimrod did as a beast, okay, and Esau the hairy Edomite. In that one story, he had a horn. Remember? Well, you doing some math there? So there's that. But the thing about this sweet tooth is these people were turning into creatures. You know, they're expecting us to wait for a zombie apocalypse where it's like people that are just out of their minds and stuff like that. But I've seen it where, you know, kids are taking a thing and their eyes are turning blue and a lot of other crazy stuff's happening too. Don't be surprising when you start seeing some crazy stuff happening. Okay. So sweet tooth, they turn into those crazy things, right? But do you know who is the hunter? Once again, the hunter. Think about Jumanji. Think about everybody I told you, the one that hunts, the one that goes to these mysterious island and hunts after the creatures, the things, and brings them out of the abyss. Well, this movie has a hunter, guys. And do you know who it is? It's this man right here, Douglas Abbott, right? And he's called the Hunter. And look at him. Do you know he's a Navy general? Look, U.S. Army soldier, officer, he's a colonel or whatever, officer. And he's also an explorer who discovers these creatures, right? And he wants to get his hands on them so bad to study them. Well, guess what? Here's Johnny again for you if you haven't picked up on it yet. Johnny Abbott. Once again, the discoverer of the Nephilims. But I started looking at this man. I was like, dude, this is freaking nuts because my son loves Sonic. I'm going to blow your guys' minds. My son loves Sonic. I was like, this looks a lot like Jim Carrey's actor in Sonic. So I started doing some digging, right? Holy moly. And I found Dr. Eggman. Okay, right? Everybody goes straight to Jim Carrey, but they don't want to think about this. His name was Eggman, but they turned him into Robot Nick. Okay, I want you to remember those two words, Robot and Nick. And then I want you to remember what I showed you guys at the end of Hotel Transylvania, okay, where it was the half robot, half man of the naval officer that went to the mysterious island and awoken the Kraken. And his name was also John. I covered that last night. Well, check this out. You have Robot Nick right here, Eggman, Dr. Ivo, would you believe me if I told you guys that the guy who plays his voice is John William? Actually, Long John Baldry, which brings me to my next point. Don't you guys want to talk about Long John Silver? What's he known for? Well, Treasure Island and everything else, discovering a mysterious island, Long John Silver. So right now in this one scene here, you have Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, played by Long John Baldry, who's actually Long John Silver / John William, the explorer. He even has the fancy hat on. He looks like John Hammond from Jurassic Park, right? Now, see also John, oh my goodness, I don't even want to get into any more Johns. I don't even want, nope. So I'm gonna clear off John Baldry. And we're gonna go past him. Do you guys know where Eggman's lair is? Well, it looks just like the Atlantean Island, where it's a volcano, and his house is on top, where it's the entrance into the volcano on the mysterious island is where Long John's island is, Dr. Eggman. The mysterious island with the volcano entrance. But then I started thinking again. This one's going to get you guys. Let me remove this. I started thinking. I was like, you know, what's another thing about them entering? I told you guys, I believe that giant trees that were cut down are modern day volcanoes. And they are also portals, which is seen also in Stranger Things and Alice in Wonderland, where she goes into the hole in the tree and goes into a portal into the underworld, the hollow place of the earth, where she falls into a bottomless pit first into the land of the creatures, the giant caterpillars, the giant cats, the giant rabbits, the giant things, and the giant mushrooms and those things. I was like, maybe Alice in Wonderland has something about John. This is going to blow your mind. Do you guys know that the illustrator for Alice in Wonderland's name is John? And do you know what he looks like? Meet Sir John Tennell. Do you know that this man right here is the one that draws all the fancy pictures? I wonder where he got them from. So like I said, now meet John Tennell. Pretty nuts. Right in Alice in Wonderland about going to a mysterious hole in the ground. Into the hollow place of the earth? Well, guess what? Now I have to remind you of Dr. Robotnik. Don't you guys know about old Saint Nick who goes to the mysterious island in the North Pole / the Arctic Circle? And he goes down into the hollow earth with his little elves. And he has reindeer horn people things all around him too. And if you watch the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you know that there's a giant, all-white, abominable snowman giant. So you have old Saint Nick, right? Going to the North Pole, to the mysterious island, and descending into the hollow place of the earth. That's 18 now, Miss Kim. Do you know why? Because it's Santa Claus, portrayed by Jonathan Meath. This is crazy. But then let's go on even further. That means this man's name, by the way, is Jonathan Meath, if you didn't know. So, here we go. Let's go a little further of the Mr. Man. Do you know this, too? Let me see. It was something else on this page I want to show you. Father Christmas, all that. Oh, snap. So look, you have a picture of old Saint Nick, the Ghost of Christmas by John Leech again. And this time, look at him. A whole different page of a British one. This is a different man called Leech, like a parasite. Pretty nuts. You have Jonathan Meach and Jonathan Leech, both talking about old Saint Nick. So if you didn't keep track right then, that's 19 and 20. Okay? But let's go on a little further. I want to make sure there's nothing else that I... Oh my goodness. So look at this man, okay? The Norse long-bearded Odin. And the one eye closed. And look at the hat. Oh my Lanta. I bet that man's name is John. Let's go on a little further because I'm telling you, this gets really, really crazy. I want to make sure there's nothing else on this page because I didn't even go down here and look at this craziness because my mind was already blown and I haven't got to the mind-blowing stuff yet. This is some teasing stuff right here. Guys, I'm still just giving you guys some breadcrumbs. Because guess what? There's more. This is crazy. Guys, I need you to think about your favorite movies in the world. Okay, as a kid, before you found out the Bible was real and you don't live on a spinning ball of water in a space vacuum with Star Wars above you, okay? I need you guys to think hard about your favorite movies right now. You got them? Older generation? You ready? Guess who wrote those songs about those explorations of those exploring movies that I know you got in the back of your mind? Guess what? Well, John Williams wrote the Star Wars song about going to outer space to see the other planets. John Williams wrote Princess Leia's theme song in that. That's the whole thing. John Williams also wrote Superman song. Well, about him, and guess what? Well, his planet. Okay, same thing. Discovering new worlds and Nephilims. John Williams also talked about the wizards. And also, look, see, music composed and conducted by John Williams. All these Nephilims, once again, in the Tartarian buildings, in the mysterious island where they had to go through a portal to the other place, to the wizarding world, okay? So if you aren't keeping track, this counts. John. Okay? Now, older generation. He did 2 different ones. He did 2 different movies for Star Wars. It's all about the explorations. But don't you remember Jaws? Do you remember who did the Jaws theme song about discovering the Nephilim beast in the bottom of the ocean? Of course, it was John Williams. Now, guess what? Do you remember Indiana Jones? Sounds a lot like Indiana John. John's in his name. Indiana John discovered the mysterious island and also the mysterious places. But guess what? John Williams wrote the songs for Indiana John and Discovery of All the Things. I think that's like 22, 23. John Williams also wrote another Harry Potter song. And do you know Olympic is based off the Olympian gods and goddesses? The Titans is where the Olympics get its whole mixing. Well, that's the blues, the greens, the grays, and the mixings of all the things. That's the Olympian colors. Well, the Olympics based off the Titans, and it's written by John Williams, the song. Well, this one's called Hymn to the Fallen, and it's not meant to be about Saving Private Ryan. John Williams is writing about the fallen Nephilim here. Well, don't you know that he also writes about the fate of the earth again in Star Wars, another classic? Pretty nuts. Let's go on a little further because it gets even nuts. I hope you're getting where this is going. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to blow your minds. Okay. I need you guys to think hard about blonde hair, blue eyed Johns and their accomplishments. And then I need to think about everything beyond the veil is covered about Donald Trump and all his deepest secrets that I've uncovered a lot on my page. I'm about to blow your guys' mind, really, truly. Let's talk about Donald John Trump. Donald John Trump, President of the United States, known for a lot of stuff and in everything you can imagine. Has a Trump Tower everywhere, including this one with the 666 and 6 on the center. Black Saturns of Satan and his big black 666 foot tall building and his penthouse suite on the 66th floor. And the bringer of darkness and destruction, Apollyon, is all over this. And his 7 pillars rising, the 7 deadly sins, and his paintings and murals found all throughout. And this is one of many Trump Towers. He has Trump Towers in every single continent on the world has Trump Tower, by the way. Research that rabbit hole. I've covered it many times. Because Donald Trump is a traveler. Every part of the world. But don't you know this also? I'm really, really about to get you guys in a big old banana sandwich bag. Watch this. See, everybody's obsessed with Donald Trump. But a lot of people don't know that Donald Trump was in the military. And Donald Trump has some achievements. Donald John Trump does. Now, I want to show you a big hole. Let's look at what else Donald John Trump has gone by in the old days. Do you know when President Donald Trump would answer the phones prior to 2000s, he would answer by multiple names like this: John Barron, or John Miller, or John Titter is not one you're going to find out up here. And John Titter was a time traveler that supposedly came around in 2000 and 1999, 2000, and right around the time of the Twin Towers and stuff like that. Donald Trump himself made a prediction of 9/11 about 6 months before 9/11 took place also. Okay, but the name I want you guys to think about right here is this. Do you know that Donald John Trump, okay, went by John Barron Trump for a long, long, long time? Well, watch this, guys. You know, some of you know where I'm going with this. A lot of people know about a book called Barron Trump and His Marvelous Journey to the Center of the Earth, and they're like, well, that's got to be about Donald Trump's son. No, don't you? Aren't you paying attention? John Barron is an explorer. Okay, John Barron is an explorer. Barron Trump's kid, the one in the book, his dad's was named Don, indeed. But you got to remember who this explorer was. John Barron in the book, Barron Trump's Marvelous Journey to the Center of the Earth. John Barron goes on a marvelous journey to the center of the earth, okay? With his blonde hair and his blue eyes, okay? And he does this by going down a vortex, a portal, okay, into the hollow places of the earth, the electric kingdom, and gets all kinds of knowledge of time machines and everything else. So once again, Donald Trump goes by 3 other John names, not to mention his regular name, Donald Trump, Donald John Trump. Okay. Now, here's where things get real nuts. Okay. When you go here, you see it. Okay. You see the whole obsession with Barron Trump novels. Our 2 children's novels. There's multiple. This is different stuff. Okay. A lot of people don't even know about this. Okay. Our 2 children's novels written in 1889 and 1893 by American author Lockwood. They remain obscure until 2017 and received an attention similarities. Look, see, this talks about those books written in the 1800s and their similarity to Donald Trump. But those books, okay, are also involved in this. The Last President, a book about a president that ran for 2 political campaigns. Okay, right here. The Last President, written by the same author, which New York City is reviving by protest following a shocking victory and the presidential election. See, this is where I was getting at. There was a book written, once again, they're referring it to Donald Trump. These books also talk about a Trump Tower. They call it Trump Castle in the book, Castle Trump, right here in that book that was written in the 1800s. Now, it's important to know this. Nikola Tesla, well, Nikola Tesla died, right? But the thing is I believe he was, and the CIA is the one who invaded his hotel room. And do you know who was the one who went and investigated Nikola Tesla's things and got plans for a ray gun and a time traveling machine? Well, you got it. Donald Trump's uncle, John Titter. Which is why he went by his uncle's name for so long. Everything was handed down to Donald John Trump. Okay? Crazy, right? So once again, you have this whole Donald Trump thing tied in with multiple books, okay, about Hollow Earth and about all kinds of secrets. Okay? It's nuts. And you see, this is also tied in here with Alice in Wonderland. Just so you know where Lockwood's going with this. So for those of you that think it's coincidence stuff, I think you need to open your eyes a little bit to what's happening here. Okay? Okay. Let's go on a little further. This is nuts. Nuts. Next is this. Oh man, I gotta X that out. Let me see. You ready for this? This is my next topic for tonight. Let me get things pulled up here. 57 minutes. Yes, Alice in Wonderland down a portal. Okay, Satan is Trump's daddy. Okay, yeah. I want to talk to you guys about our next topic, okay? And this is very important because it ties in everything. I've been telling you guys, I have been studying everything you can imagine. Every type of culture, every type of every type of story you can imagine I've read. I'm not even kidding. Started noticing stuff. Every culture tells the same stories. Like all of them tell like the same stories. This next rabbit hole I'm about to put 78 of you down right now is crazy. I wanted to point out all those crazy coincidences first about the Johns and their journeys to the discovering new things and beasts. Because there's no such thing as coincidences. This next part is nuts. If you know me, I've been covering a lot about this Hydra, about this Jormungandr, about this Leviathan, about this Earth's necklace, about this giant snake of the deep, about this big old beast in the ocean that has been laying dormant for a long time, waiting to be in charge of opening the abyss. He's the Milky Way galaxy above us. He is the Jormungandr who surrounds the realm of the people, which is Midgard. He is indeed the guardian of all the portals to the underworld. Okay. And who am I referring to? Well, I am referring to what the Bible calls. Sorry, I've got so many pictures I'm having to pull up. Leviathan. Okay. You guys need to understand this is real life. And like I said, every story, including the Bible, talks about this big ancient serpent that's laying dormant in the bottom and is in charge of guarding the abyss. And in the Bible, it talks in Job about the final battle between God against the dragon. Okay. And also, Nordic, it talks about Thor fighting the dragon. But I want to cover a lot more than even that. This is where it gets nuts. And Hercules fighting Hydra. Okay. Here we go. This is big. This is crazy. This is nuts. Okay. For those of you who don't know, there was a big giant kraken that came out of the tail of the snake. When the tail came out, it says it would cause waves to wash up on the shore and it would cause something to come out. First thing was always the kraken in every movie I've ever found dealing with this topic after an eclipse. This was the day after eclipse that thing was released. Okay. But we also know that there's going to be many things coming out. Nordic talk about the kraken being the first, but there's also many other titans to come up. This is the whole war of the Nephilim and the Rephaim building up right in front of us. Because it says, just as it was in the days of Noah. Okay. The last thing that's supposed to happen is a war between God and this big ancient dragon. Okay. Like you see here. It's supposed to be God with his mighty sword, like in Job it talks about, and slaying that great ancient serpent of the deep and darkness. Okay. But here's where we're going. It's about to get nuts. Okay. Do you know who else fights a dragon? Apollo. In Greek mythology, you learn about Apollyon, Apollo, and how he's the bringer of destruction. But it's also prophesied that Apollo, in the end of time, would slay that great and mighty dragon. It is also taught in Babylon. Let's look at Babylon. This is important. So it's taught in Babylon not only that there were giants and things of that sort, but you got it, that there would be a slaying of a big multi-headed hydra and their god, whether it's Nimrod in this time or Hercules. But watch, I'm not even cracking this open yet. Here's Babylonian. This is where it gets nuts. This is Ninorta, and this is Azag. If you read your Bible, you know about Azazel, that great dragon, that great serpent. You also know about that whole tie-in with Azrael and Batman, and him being the dark side of Batman as well, Azrael. But Azazel here, we have the serpent Azazel, which has the scales, okay, and all that stuff, and he has Vajras. Those are not prongs like Egyptian thing. Those are Vajras, okay, to fight this beast right here. And Azag is known as, I know it looks like that in the picture, but I'm going to read this to you guys so you can understand this story. And I'm not going to read this guy's commentaries. I want to give you it straight from the book, okay? Oh, here we go. Actually, yeah, let's read up here. Perhaps the oldest extant combat myth from the ancient Near East is the Sumerian text, Laguel. I don't know if I say that right, which describes the battle between Ninorta, god of the thunderstorm. Okay, just like who? Well, Zeus. Zeus taking on the things through Hercules as well. Same thing with the thunderstorm happening. You got to remember that Apollyon is the bringer of darkness. That's dark clouds, dark wrath, everything as well. Okay, and fertility. He's tied into that as well. So the fight between this god and a dragon named Azag, just like the Bible is Azazel, the other name, the serpentine form of Satan, seraphim form. Okay, the version we possess with originally composed around this. Look how far back this one is. Okay, 2150 BCE. The conflict begins as Ninorta sits on his throne at feast. And by the way, this is where Naruto and his battle against the dragon comes from as well. The last thing he fights is the dragon with the 9 tails. Naruto, same thing. End of that myth, whatever's going on with that. He fights the dragon. Okay. In this book, it says this: O Naruto, may the names of the warriors slain by you be mentioned. The Kaluna, the Basilisk, and the Gypsum, meaning this: there are going to be multiple beasts that this god is going to slay. The Basilisk being the great serpent. But he also does this: he fights the Thunderbird, meaning there was some in between, and the 7-headed serpent, Hydra. You verily slew, O Naruto, in the Highland. Think about the Highlanders, okay, as well, and where that part of the world is. Now look at this. The Azag rose to attack in the front line of the battle. The sky it pulled down as a weapon for its hip, took it in its hand, into the earth it struck, and the snake in the head snake-like. Struck the head snake-like. The Azag was going to crash like a wall on Naruto and Lil's son, as were in the day of doom. See, this is the final day of doom. You got the god fighting the serpent Azag, right? But there's more. There's also Naruto against Anzu right here. That is a whole different beast. Looks like a griffin and looks like what we saw up there as well. These are other beasts that come up to fight a titan. Remember, you got to understand, this is a titan, a big, big, big giant fighting a giant beast. Here's another story. Same thing, him fighting the beast at the end of time. Okay, let's go on a little further. This one is literally entitled in this Babylonian finding. It's titled The Storm God versus the Serpent. Okay, literally. Same thing. Storm God, Thunder God, Hercules, Zeus. What's crazy is like, man, I don't want to say it. It's there's a lot that you can pull out of this. This one's very important, this next one. If you know about some channels, I've been trying to tell you guys, you better be careful with some of the stuff they're teaching, because some of that stuff is completely just leading you guys astray. They're separating things that don't need to be separated, and they're flipping and twisting. Okay? This is all in your face. I know some people that talk about Tiamat and don't even understand that Tiamat, Apep, Leviathan, all these beasts of the sea are the same. For example, here's Marduk versus Tiamat at the end of time. Marduk being the god that they served back then as well, and at the end of time, he's supposed to slay this great beast of the sea. Okay? And look at this one's Apsu. Okay? Once again, that's two different ones. Tiamat and Apsu, two different beasts that has to be slayed at the end of time by Marduk. Let's go on a little further with coincidences. Now you have Baal versus the sea. Don't forget, George Washington was worshipped as Baal, and many other. Baal goes back way technically into Moses and Babylon also, but Moses in the wilderness, when they put the cow and they melted it down and made the calf idol out of all the gold that they melted. That was the first time Baal worship happened. Okay. Well, here's Baal versus the sea. What is the sea? Well, it's the serpent. You see it at the bottom also. Okay. And that's his spear coming down on his head. Same thing happening there. Then let's move on a little further. Let's look at this one. Baal-Anat versus the dragon. I know you guys have read about Baal and the dragon. See, this one even calls it the fleeing serpent, just like the Bible. The twisty serpent, just like the Bible. Calls it all these things, and it talks about at the end of time, there has to be a final battle between the God and the big ancient dragon. Here's another one. Baal versus death, which is Mot. Mot being what? Death in Hades is the one who guards the entrance of Hades. Once again, Leviathan. And here it goes. Take your clouds, take your winds, take your bolts. The same reference to a thunder and cloud god. Remember, God spoke through the thunder as well in our Bibles. God speaks through the thunder, and his son comes on clouds of fire. blue flame fire, electric, lightning bolts. That's why everything looked zapped, black, scorched, and petrified. That's why it's same thing's happening right now with DEW and how they're zapping things, petrifying things with the blue flame fire of the clouds. Crazy, right? So here's this. Same thing. You got a thunder god coming on the clouds, and what he's going to do is fight this big old beast. Then I approached the mightiest Baal. I took like a lamb in my mouth, like a kid crushed in the chasm of my throat, dead in the mightiest Baal. Look, and a lot of you guys will read it right in your Bible. It says it right in the beginning. There's 2 seed lines, okay? No joke. It's right there in the beginning. I don't know how, in this same channel I was talking about earlier, they don't acknowledge this, that literally God looks at Satan and Eve and says this, I'm going to put enmity, hatred between your offspring and her offspring. Okay, and that's actually in reference 2 seeds. It's going to happen. There's going to be 2 seed lines, and I'm going to put hatred between them. Your seed's going to kill her seed. That's why literally Cain killed Abel. And then Cain literally produced his own Enoch, who became Metatron, who became Tubal Cain as well. Enoch took on his father Cain after Cain was killed and became Metatron. Enoch went and was banished to the wilderness to become a beast. He was shot by Lamech, but Tubal was there who tricked him so that the curse would fall on Lamech. Tubal becomes who in Freemasonry? Tubal Cain, who took on Cain, who is what? Gilgamesh, the one who forged steel and created an ark beneath the earth. You need to understand that. A covenant to hide the beast so they can emerge as Dagon and their followers after the flood. Okay? It's all throughout there. But people don't want to admit it because they're scared to death, and I don't blame them. It's tough. But I've pointed out, I don't know how many stories right now, we're talking about coincidences, so many stories about the same thing. God versus the beast. Now here's some other as well. You have the myth of Chael, however you say that, which is chaos. Chaos is what? Wrath, Leviathan, and the conflict between what takes place there. Same stuff. I can go on and on and on with more and more stories and stories that are the exact same thing. Okay? Then I started looking at this book here, which was crazy. This guy's, I don't know how I feel about this man. This man writes a book about the hero with 1,000 faces. This man deep dives into like a lot of what I'm saying tonight, where he calls it monomyth. Okay? Monomyth talks about a hero journey, a hero coming into the world, a hero going through his problems, his consequences in life, and then coming back at the end as a hero. Okay, and he once again he pointed out how all these cultures tell the exact same story over and over and over again. Nuts. Okay, pretty crazy with that guy. But I want to point out some other things. Okay, you also have Prometheus. Don't you know what Prometheus does? Well, Prometheus also takes part in, you see it, the fight at the end with Mount Olympus and the dragon, the great dragon that comes up at the end, the great serpent and the beast at the end. Okay, I turn my light back on, it turned off. Okay. Now it's going a little further because this is even crazier. I've been telling you guys about Egypt and the importance of Egypt. Well, don't you know this? In Egypt, you have the same thing with Osiris. Okay? Don't you know that Osiris is known for what? The last thing Osiris does is save the world from Apep. Right here. And you know what's crazy? You guys ever seen Hunger Games? Katniss and Peeta? Blonde hair, blue-eyed Peeta and Katniss? And they're fighting the serpent that hands the apple off before he is persecuted and killed at the end? That's right. Okay, you see where that goes? The whole Hunger Games is based off of early America and the 13 colonies that rebelled against the district, by the way. That is real. But anyway, here's this. This is the sun god Ra. The sun god in that, Apollyon, the light bearer is who? The one he took hostage and saved everybody is Peeta. People don't admit it. Peter, where the serpentine built his rock. Okay, which is crazy. That's the mix-up. This is where Katniss and the sun god Ra slay Apep the dragon at the end of time. hero scenario there. This is the sun god Ra, and you have Anubis slaying Apep as they journey into the underworld. Same thing. There's Apep Apophis, the serpent that guards the abyss. Now let's look even further. Let's talk about Python. Here's Apollo killing Python at the end of time when the world goes kapooey. Now let's look even further. Let's look at the dragon in Beowulf. Well, here's Beowulf, and he battles his nemesis. Thor's nemesis was the Jormungandr. Beowulf's nemesis is just called the dragon. At the end of time, when the world goes kaploot. The new movie Dune, and their blue eyes in the movie Dune. The last thing they do in the one that we watched is what? They fight a sandworm. Look, you see the same A word for the name of the big serpent dragon that comes up to destroy the world. You have this big sandworm, the worm that shall not die, that comes up and causes an apocalypse, and he's slayed by the blue-eyed, blonde-haired main character. And there's the hero's journey, monomyth, which was technically a big topic. Pretty crazy. So you guys can see here that my tabs have ran out, but I have a whole other section of stuff I have to show you here. Okay. Oh man, I didn't screen share that stuff. Man, it's because it exited out. I'm so sorry. Hold on one sec. I am gonna go back, but I exited out all that stuff now. But you guys heard that stuff. There's really no point in me pulling it back up again. It's all the same mess. But you get it. You get it. I wanna pull the comments up here. All right, let's see what we got here. It's important for you guys to understand. Okay. The Bible does not teach coincidences. It teaches banana sandwiches. Things that are hard to believe are true. I don't believe in coincidences. Okay. Someone made a good point. Azul, blue, Azazel, blue eyes, light bearing. Good point. Okay. I'm so sorry I didn't screen share all that, but you gotta get it. You gotta get it. Okay. I want to say, okay, I've probably made my wife so upset with me today, only because I've been deep diving into this so much. But I want to say something big. There's one thing that I have undeniably, unequivocally, 1000% accepted. Titans, 2 of them to be exact, have been released from the abyss. The Kraken was released, and only 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, a second one was released. And if you look at the second one that came out of the abyss, it literally looks like a dorsal fin pushing water to the side. The Meg, the demon fish of the deep, the next beast that rised after the Kraken. Now, my next lives coming up are going to be probably really, really crazy for a lot of you guys. I'm going to start showing you guys kind of what to expect outside of Kraken. I have a whole list of kaiju things I've been studying, Titan things, kind of really, really ancient stuff of what we can kind of expect. But the thing is I don't think anybody's really ready for it. It says men's hearts will fail them with fear. You know, that Kraken alone was bigger than the state of Texas. Actually, it was bigger than almost half of South America. You know? The Megalodon, you guys are like, what are these aquatic creatures? Why does this matter? This is going to be some mind-blowing stuff too. You've been conditioned for this. When this war kicks off, when World War III kicks off, okay? Do you know what's going to be out there with those battleships and going to catch all those battleships off guard when Russia? It says in Revelation chapter 20, it says that the Satan will go out, Azazel, the dragon, the one I've been telling you about, will go out and stir up all the nations of Gog and Magog, the four quarters of the earth, for battle. And he'll build his team. Why? Because of the war of the Nephilim and the Rephaim that's coming. Okay? It's coming. And it says that they will surround the camp of the saints, but fire will come down and consume them. Well, fire is wrath. Okay? However that comes, it comes. Um, it's important to know that's all happened. Like, one thing you can guarantee is up until this very point, literally there's nothing left. There's nothing left. Everybody's like waiting for all this stuff to happen. It's important for you guys to watch the 1,000-Year Reign Decode, because today's world right now, where it says he will deceive the world again one last time, one more time, one last time. He does the same thing again, is what Satan is doing right now. He's using what took place with Nero, Vespasian, the Dark Ages and everything, and trying to trick everybody into believing that's taking place again. Exactly. The Bible says it would trick everybody. He says even the elect will be deceived. And everybody's like, oh, expect Project Bluebeam with this and this and this. They've been so conditioned. Okay. The war of the Nephilim and the Rephaim also affects us. If the government's like, hey, take this, turn around. If they're like, hey, take this, I'll give you a load of money, turn around. Or you'll look like that. Your kids will look like that. It's coming. Look up how many kids' eyes have changed and turned after taking some of those things, if you can find it. Stuff's coming, man. And like I said, if you guys will watch Pacific Rim, which I'm going to do a YouTube Pacific Rim Decode coming up next. I'm just going to go and tell you guys it's going to be tied in with all that. Pacific Rim's going to be deep in it. You know that the last things that came up in Pacific Rim, they went from being swimming creatures, to being flying creatures. Wings, the last ones that came up could fly and invade the land. And remember also, in Pacific Rim, they started out way in the middle of the ocean. They had it kind of under control for a while, but they started coming faster and faster and faster until they started coming up on the shores and couldn't contain it anymore. So the whole world went into bomb shelters. It says in those days they will literally try to hide in their bunkers. Men, women, slave, free, rich. It doesn't matter if you're saved. It doesn't matter if you're not saved. It says everybody will go to their bunkers. Everybody, all of us, everybody, because of the war of the Nephilim and Rephaim that's about to be taking place on the surface. It's seen in the movie Love and Monsters. I can't wait to do a decode with that for you, where they're in the bunkers for 7 years as a big war of Nephilim creatures is taking place above them. It's coming. It's coming. Like, nobody's ready for it. The 501c3 churches are going to be sitting there having their fellowship feasts, and all of a sudden something's going to crush their church. I'm like, how did this happen to my building, this sacred building? It got crushed by this giant beast. It's because God does not dwell in a temple built by the hands of man no longer, especially when it has an obelisk on top, and it also has an offering plate for you to literally remember. Christ did away with certain things. Everybody's like, well, what about tithing? If you read the new church in Acts, church people, what they did, their tithing was not giving to a building and collecting and making a collection fund. Okay. And they didn't do it on a false Sabbath either. It's important to know the Sabbath was established on the 66th day of the year in 321 AD, which is 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. On the 66th day of the year, and technically 6 AD, I'll say. Constantine, blonde hair, blue-eyed Constantine, literally changes the day of the Sabbath to Sunday to honor the honorable, venerable sun. That's the worship of the beast, where the blind who think they're teaching the right things lead the blind who think they're giving the right things. There's only one time in the Bible where God gives them a mark and a day to worship. Well, the beast gave his mark and his day of worship. But he says they will worship the beast and they will receive their mark. So if you're already in the church service, it's a good chance you're going to follow them straight on to looking like this. You follow them right on to the hospital. Not knowing that hospitals were also made by Freemasons to be the serpent on the staff that you look upon to heal you. There's a reason why I deliver my baby at home. It's just, is what it is. So I want to see what we got going on in the chat box real quick. Scroll up a little bit. All right. Awesome. I'm seeing lots of mind blowns up here. That's awesome. It's crazy, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Make sure y'all know about John and the mysterious island of Patmos when the abyss opened. He saw all the titans and things coming up on the shore. Awesome, guys. I love seeing you guys chatting. That's wonderful. Staying active. Good, good, good. Sharpened swords. Lots and lots of mind blowns today. That's awesome. Okay. All right. Wow. You guys have really, really gone to work tonight. Man, Matthew, it's so good to see you up here, buddy. I know. Look, I want to say this just because I know you. Okay. Well, I know that we've conversated, I think, once or twice. I want to make something clear. Okay. I make a lot of conversations about blonde hair, blue eyes, all that stuff, about Nordic people, about Vikings, about Icelanders, about all that stuff. You need to understand there's a reason why Christ came to this world and said we must all be born again in his blood, his seed. We must be born again in his blood. What that means is this. He says there is neither Jew nor Greek nor Gentile, no nothing, neither man nor woman nor male nor female, no nothing, only him that is born again in Christ. Meaning this, it doesn't matter what you had going on. You need to understand that even Cain was offered a chance to repent before he went to kill him, when he went and killed his brother. He says, if you turn from these things, if you do this, Cain went immediately and killed his brother. He offered Pharaoh many times to change, no matter what's going on. So here's where this comes in. If there's any of you guys right now that think you're so unworthy because of a skin color or eye color or anything else that you've been falsely taught, you need to understand that number one, I've proven that the Bible's stories are found everywhere to be true. Number two, same thing goes with salvation. We found out heaven's real. We found out the underworld's real. We found out everything in there is true. Well, there's this. If you want to give your life to Christ, do so. Follow him. Be born again. Water and spirit, spirit and truth. What does that mean? Well, remember, he said, John the Baptist, he baptized for what? Well, it says in Acts, it says, without baptism, there is no forgiveness of sin. That's where John the Baptist baptism comes in. But then it talks about in spirit. So in order to have a Holy Spirit enter you, you have to be made clean. Okay? You get made clean, so therefore something holy can enter something unholy. Water and spirit, spirit and truth. Then you can start learning all kinds of things that you didn't even know you could do. Are you saved right then and there forever? Well, there's this. So he who is not producing fruit will be cut off and tossed into the lake of fire. What is fruit? This is us sharpening swords and building fruit right now. Fruit is abundance that comes into the kingdom. You know, he's harvesting wheat. Wheat is the fruit of that plant. Okay? We are his fruit. So anyway, I'm going to jump off here. I don't know. I guess I'm being heavily restricted. I don't think I had even over 70 people up here tonight. This has been crazy. I was really expecting a lot more. But if you guys could go on and hit the like button, hit the thumbs down button if you want to, hit any of those buttons and try and get a little jump so this can start back up. and get out of there. And I want to say this as well. I will be going live, probably not tomorrow night, because like I said, I've probably made my wife already upset enough with as much time as I spent on this today instead of kind of helping out the way I should. So I'm probably not gonna go live tomorrow, but I will be going live again this week. It's a lot. Um, make sure you're there. I'm gonna tell you guys, make sure you're there for the lives because there will be stuff that YouTube takes and cuts out and clips out and mutes out and everything else. Okay. But I will be posting that up there. Also, if you want to take part in the ministry whatsoever, helping out whatsoever, here's this little banner here at the bottom. On this banner, I have my Cash App and my PayPal. This is the only thing that I am doing now as far as work. um, and I'm just a newbie here on YouTube with 69 people watching my video. So I don't tell you anything. If you guys want to help out with that, that option there is there as well. And from here, I'm going to get out of here and be sure you guys are checking for updates. I do think this was a big old banana sandwich, though. I do want to see what you guys thought about this video. Please let me know what you got going on. How'd you feel about it? Is there a question? Does anybody have a question about something we've talked about? Not really other stuff. Questions about stuff we talked about right now. I will give you guys this hour and a half. I don't think I've ever done one this short. It's an hour and a half. I'll give you guys about a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes to see if anybody's got any questions about the things we've discussed and talked about tonight. Let's see my favorite thing here. For those of you guys that don't know about this whole thing, I think it was like probably 5 or 6 months ago, I was doing lives and I caught myself constantly calling crazy stuff banana sandwiches. And it just kind of clicked and a lot of people thought it was kind of funny. So I just went forward with calling truths that you're not going to find anywhere else a banana sandwich. Okay. So we're wondering where that whole thing came from. It's always, I love that I'm giving you guys a chance for questions, but I also love that I'm not seeing questions. I'm taking that as you guys grabbed a hold of it. So that's awesome. I really hope you did. But anyway, I guess since I don't see anything, I'm going to wrap this up. I do love you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys being here, having an open ear, an open heart, and an open mind to be able to instill this stuff in your life. Make sure you understand to whom much is given, much is required. To whom little is given, little is asked. When you learn things that the Word of God says to be true and is true, you're meant to apply it to your life. Will you do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But you're not meant to ignore those things. Okay. Sweet. That's what I love to see. You blew our minds, right? We ate banana sandwiches. Awesome, 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 awesome. Good. So, love you guys. I'll see you guys on BTV Facebook, and I will be back here also in a couple of days with part 4. I guess it would be 4 or 5. I do want to see. I don't even know. Did anybody keep up with how many Johns the Explorers we had tonight? I want to say it was like over 30, if you want to be specific. I don't know. But that was pretty wild. It's not very often that you get like that much evidence of something, but we did. It's cool. We did it all together. Matthew says, "I'm not hungry no more." I hear you, buddy. Me too. And this is what I love too. Okay. I don't like the whole teacher word. However, it pumps me up to be able to answer people's questions because I had questions my whole life and no one would give me a single one. I even went to a Bible college, top of my class, and found out even on the test, they were giving me wrong answers to write in as a right answer. So what I was doing is I'd write the right answer over here with scriptures to prove it, and I'd write in their wrong answers, and I'd get hundreds on the test, but I'd also call them out on all their lies, and then I got kicked out of college. This is what I like. You can't go up to everybody and ask a question. I promise you guys, any question in the world, ask me. I will do everything I can to figure it out. So, awesome. All right, guys. Love you guys so much. Somebody's got 22. That's awesome. I think that probably shortens it down because you got to realize Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson went to the Hollow Earth more than anyone else. And there's 4 or 5 you can add just for him alone. So if you want to talk about subcategories, man, that was a lot. But anyway, I love you guys so much. I'm going to go inside. Hope you guys have a good night or day wherever you're at. God bless you guys. Have a great